Governor Stitt signs a bill preventing transgender girl athletes from competing in sports. Windy conditions continue to blow across the state, and Russia goes back on its word to de-escalate conflict in Ukraine. This is OU Nightly. Hello, thanks for joining us for OU Nightly. I'm Kolby Terrell.
And I'm Jessie Klinger. We begin with news from the Capitol. Today, Governor Kevin Stitt signed a new law requiring certain athletic teams to be designated based on biological sex. Kaleigh Tinglestad is live at the Capitol with reactions from Oklahomans. Kaleigh.
Legislators and female athletes in Oklahoma gathered at the Capitol today in support of the Save Women's Sports Act. While a number of Oklahomans celebrate this new law, others fear the consequences. Protection is the message from both sides.
In Oklahoma, we stand with female athletes. In Oklahoma, we will protect women in sports.
Here to protect trans children because we know that the suicide depression rates go up for children who are denied space, places, care, love in their communities.
Those in support of the bill want to ensure an even playing field for female athletes in Oklahoma. They argue that men are biologically different than women, and these differences give an unfair advantage.
I don't think it should be taken away from them, especially for biological reasons that they can't overcome.
When it comes to sports and athletics, girls should compete against girls. Boys should compete against boys.
Creating this safe space for women in sports may cause those in the transgender community to feel the opposite.
If these were the kinds of laws that were being passed when I was growing up, I don't know that I'd be here today.
Democratic Representative Emily Virgin feels that this law is more about political agenda than supporting women.
Unfortunately, this bill really just attacks trans kids who are simply trying to fit in and attempts to solve a problem that doesn't actually exist.
The future for trans athletes is unknown, but many advocacy groups are looking into legal options. Live from the Capitol, Kaleigh Tinglestad, OU Nightly.
Well, Jessie, that storm last night was loud and tough to sleep through for me.
I completely agree. Mikayla Smith is here with us. Apparently, we weren't the only southern state that experienced some severe weather. Mikayla, what can you tell us?
That's right, not the only southern state to experience some severe weather, and we left some impacts here as well. We can see that 24-hour temperature change, much cooler today, 36 in Miami, 32 degrees cooler, and 29 degrees cooler here in Norman. So definitely chilly. You thought it was getting into spring and summer like, well, you're going to want to have your coats now. And those winds as well, very windy from the north. We can see 22 here in Norman, and that's making us feel even cooler as well when we have those strong winds from the north with those colder temperatures. While we dodged some of the worst weather here, Springdale, Arkansas was not as lucky. We can see here's a picture. This is courtesy of KNWA Chief Meteorologist Dan Scoff. And here's some more damage we can see from Springdale, Arkansas. So this was a pretty large tree that was uprooted and then some things that were tossed in the middle of the road. So they're dealing with some cleanup there today, but cooler and windy for us here and over the next few days. Tornadoes are currently occurring in the deep south, and we have more of a wet week ahead. So I have all of that and more coming up in Maine weather.
And that same storm last night that we've been hearing about has left us with some windy weather today.
Yeah, Mady Daddario is live on campus with how students are dealing with it.
Oklahoma is no stranger to severe weather, and it might not surprise you that Oklahoma City is the second windiest city in the country. Come springtime in our state, high-intensity winds have residents and students feeling a certain type of way.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's cold.
Tornadoes tend to be the primary weather concern for Oklahomans in the springtime, but many forget about the dangers or just sheer inconvenience wind alone can bring.
I hate it. I'm from California, so this is nothing like I've ever experienced. But
For some, the wind even impacts whether they want to leave their house.
we are going to get lunch right now, and we didn't even want to get out of our room.
OU students' dislike for the wind is clear, but what isn't is why Oklahoma produces winds so strong.
We're kind of a freak of geographic nature.
The National Weather Center meteorologist Mark Fox says Oklahoma's location between the Rocky Mountains and the Gulf of Mexico is why Oklahoma has seen winds upwards of 40 miles an hour.
As the winds come across those Rocky Mountains, it kind of messes up things and it creates low pressure area just on the east side of the Rockies. And that pressure difference is what gives us the winds.
Obviously, there's nothing we can do to stop the winds, but there are some things that can help. Hats, jackets, and if you have long hair like me, keeping a hair tie on hand are all things that can make going about your day during a wind advisory a little bit more bearable. Kolby, Jessie, back to you.
Thanks, Mady. Just hours after Moscow claimed it would drastically reduce military activity in parts of northern Ukraine, the mayor of Chernihiv claims Russia carried out an attack on his town. CNN's Chris Wynn has the latest from Washington.
Ukrainian cities under attack, despite Russia's claim that it would scale back. The northern city of Chernihiv hit by Russian airstrikes as shelling continued through the night.
This is yet another confirmation that Russia always lies. And they are saying about the reducing intensity, they actually have increased the intensity of strikes.
In the south, officials in Mikayla say several people died after a regional government building was attacked. Civilians who remain living in a constant state of fear.
They're trying to hide in bomb shelters, try not to be outside as much as they can. But we never know when the hit can happen.
New satellite images show entire blocks destroyed in the port city of Mariupol, including a Red Cross warehouse.
It's also dangerous to go out, even to cook or to bury your dead. So it's the city of mass grave.
And this video from the Ukrainian Witness Project shows the full extent of the devastation left behind in the western Kyiv suburb of Irpin. More than 4 million people have fled Ukraine since the start of the invasion last month. Wednesday, President Joe Biden spoke over the phone with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, promising Ukraine $500 million in direct budgetary aid. In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
In other developments, Joe Biden has announced an additional $500 million in aid for Ukraine.
And now Russia's attention is shifting from Ukraine to Germany after demands in change of natural gas payments. Romelo Woodfork has that story and the rest of today's headlines from around the world.
Thank you, Kolby. Germany is worried about natural gas shortages due to payment disputes with Russia. Last week, Russia demanded payment in rubles instead of US dollars or euros. Russia threatened to cut off supplies if the demand was not met. Germany refused Russia's request. The country urges consumers from hospitals to households to immediately reduce their use of natural gas. The hearings for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson Supreme Court nomination are over. Now the U.S. Senate will vote on if she will be the first African-American female justice. Leaders of the GOP have said they will not support her nomination. However, Republican Senator Susan Collins is the first and only member that has shown support for Jackson's nomination.
I came to the conclusion that she clearly had the credentials, the experience, the qualifications, and the integrity that I look for in a Supreme Court justice.
Judge Jackson's nomination is all but assured, but Senator Collins' vote will make it bipartisan. And also a Minnesota native was released from Russian custody. Tyler Jacobs feared that he would be stuck in Russia forever, but is thankful to be home with his wife and child.
Oh my goodness. The joy inside my chest when I saw those two again was just unexplainable.
Jacob was held for 10 days as he attempted to flee Ukraine. He taught English in the country before the invasion. Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar maintained contact with Jacob's family and worked diligently with the State Department and U.S. Embassy in Russia to achieve this outcome. In other news, one species is moving closer to being removed from the endangered species list. A Sumatran rhino is born in Indonesia, which is a huge triumph for the critically endangered species. Kolby, Jessie, back to you.
Thanks, Romelo. Renewable energy is becoming a bigger focal point for many countries.
And one major form of that is wind energy. We'll tell you more when we return.
Plus, that same wind is causing problems for our neighbors down to the south. Up next on OU Nightly. Wind and solar energy usage is on the rise. Donovan England has this story and more in Earth Report.
A report published by Ember Research Services finds that in 2021, 50 countries generated more than 10% of their power from wind and solar energy. This comes as the world faces an energy crunch due to the pandemic and as well as the Russian war. Countries are also seeking alternative energy sources to Russian oil and gas in hopes to show disapproval of Russian advancement into Ukraine. And high winds and low humidity are causing fire danger in the western area of Texas. Governor Greg Abbott warns residents as officials say the blaze has consumed more than 33,000 acres and has yet to be fully contained as of Wednesday and could burn for several more days. Meanwhile, North Central and East Texas have the possibility of seeing large hail, damaging winds, tornadoes, and flash floods. Jessie, Kolby, guess we should be thankful for the rain here in the past few days. Back to you all.
Thanks, Donovan. If you've walked through the Student Union this week, you may have noticed some interesting events.
We'll tell you what the Union Programming Board has planned coming up.
And the severe weather season has begun. Mikayla, what can we expect?
Yes, severe weather season has begun, and we can see some storms happening right now in the Deep South. I'll time all of that out, and when we can see our next rain chance here in Norman coming up next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. We can see those clouds are starting to clear out here in Oklahoma City, and that's after we had some storms last night. It cooled us down just a bit. We can see those temperatures now, 49. Wind still pretty gusty out of the north, so keeping us a bit cooler than where we were yesterday. So if we look at our satellite over the entire country, we can see right now, here's that system that we dealt with last night, and then some lingering clouds, but those are moving off to the east here. But if we zoom in here in Oklahoma, we can see we had some passing showers in here in Norman not too long ago. Those are about to move off to the east, so Tulsa could see some lingering showers as you head on your commute home this evening. But here's that main system that we dealt with last night that brought that Springdale tornado. So currently there are lots of warnings across this. We can see a tornado warning here in Jackson, Mississippi as well. All of these red polygons, those are tornado warnings. So if you find yourself in a red polygon and a tornado warning, you need to be taking shelter now. That's when you need to be covering your head, covering your neck, being in the safest possible place you can. So that's a basement, a storm shelter. And if you don't have that, the most interior room that you can be. There are some public storm shelters as well down into the south. So even if you're to the east of these right now, Columbus, Starksville, that's where Mississippi State is, or even down here to the south as well, if you're anywhere within this yellow tornado watch area, you need to be taking close attention to these storms because they're going to continue to push off to the east and they will be affecting you at some point as well. So we can see here's our SPC day one outlook. We can see this red area that is a moderate 4 out of 5 risk. So it extends all the way to Tuscaloosa, Grove Hill, and then some of the areas that are seeing those tornadoes right now as well. And here's that tornado outlook, so we can see that 15% here. So again, you need to be paying attention to that if you're anywhere over there the rest of the day. Current temperatures here though, sitting in the 40s. You can see a bit of cooler where that rain is about to fall here in Tulsa and where we saw that here in Norman as well. Rain expected. We're going to see that possible Friday evening, staying pretty dry and clear the next few days, but then we're going to see that rain move through Friday night. So could be a damper on some of your Friday evening plans. So prepare for that now if you have any plans on Friday. But we can go ahead and see tonight our evening forecast. We're going to be seeing lots of tonight we're going to be dropping down our temperatures as we go throughout the rest of this evening. Warming up though in the next few days. Great weather this weekend, but very rainy next week. So we'll be keeping an eye on that for you all here.
Thanks, Mikayla. It's Union Week in the Oklahoma Memorial Union, and there are plenty of fun activities planned for all students, staff, and faculty. From mini canvas paintings to a Scooby-Doo themed escape room, the Union Programming Board has after-class activities mapped out through Friday, April 1st.
And I think it's something fun that people can do like in between classes to reduce stress. And there's food and it's free, so.
Don't miss Puppies on the East Lawn of the Union Thursday from 1 to 3 and Dancing with the Stars in the Meacham Auditorium Friday at 7.
And Jessie, OU softball is hitting it out of the park this season.
Yeah, apparently they're doing fantastic. Brooklyn Sweet is here to tell us about the Sooners' hot streak. Brooklyn.
That's right. OU softball is cruising along with their undefeated season with no intentions to stop now. And Sooner baseball walked to home plate for the first win of their Bedlam game of the season. Stick around because sports is next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm Brooklyn Sweet, and let's get into sports. OU Nightly's Abby Bennett starts us off today with an inside look to new Sooner Dylan Gabriel and how he's getting ready for this year's spring game.
Sooner Nation is counting down the days until the 2022 spring game, and there will be several new faces taking the field, like the left-handed transfer Dylan Gabriel, who got to go back in time this morning and remembered his roots with Coach Levy.
You know, I think it goes way back, and, you know, just from a trust standpoint, you know, really trusted him, loved playing in his offense, the way he's able to, you know, strategically use people and put them in good positions to go play, you know, and win a lot of ball games while scoring a lot of points. So that's something I really love about it. But, you know, most of all, I just love how he continues to push me to get to levels, you know, I didn't think I had. And, you know, that's obviously why we're, you know, back together. So.
Gabriel and Levy held a relationship while both at UCF, where Levy coached and recruited the Hawaiian native. Gabriel also shared this morning how his trust has grown with the offense and how he is right where he is supposed to be. Reporting from the Barry Switzer Center, Abby Bennett, OU Nightly.
Moving on to the Diamond, last night Sooner baseball drew a walk-off win in the first Bedlam matchup of the season. Redshirt sophomore Blake Robertson tied the game in the 9th inning with an RBI single, and redshirt sophomore Sebastian Orduno drew a bases-loaded walk, putting OU on top 7-6. The Sooners came back twice to overcome the Cowboys, crushing OSU's 11-game winning streak. Oklahoma's favorite softball team secured another dub in last night's game against Wichita State. OU Nightly's Shannon Earhart takes a closer look at their win.
Another dub, another run rule for the OU softball team. This marks their 25th of the season, putting them up 30-0 without a blemish on their record. Now, it was Jordy Ball on the mound, who had 11 Ks through 5, and it was also superstar Grace Lyons, who had 3 homers out of the 4 of the game. They have 78 home runs on the season, and it doesn't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. The Sooners' biggest inning was the 3rd, where they put up 6 runs, and that's where they pulled away. The final score again was 10-1. And next up, the Sooners face University of Alabama Birmingham at home. Reporting from Marita Hines Field, Shannon Earhart, OU Nightly Sports.
The ladies take on UAB this Friday at home at 6:30 p.m. And it's postseason time in Oklahoma, and OU women's gymnastics will look to continue their success in tomorrow's NCAA Norman Regional. Since 2010, the Sooners own 11 consecutive regional championships. In the competition this weekend, the ladies will face Arizona State, Arkansas, and the winner of the West Virginia-Arizona first-round meet. And tonight, Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks head to the Sooner State to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Monday night, Isaiah Roby scored a career high of 30 points on 11 of 13 shooting, and the Thunder rallied in overtime to beat the Portland Trail Blazers 134-131. Tip-off against the former Sooner and the rest of the Hawks will be at 8 p.m. I for sure would show up to the Paycom Center in my Sooner basketball gear while also repping OKC Blue. Kolby and Jessie, passing it back to you.
Thanks, Brooklyn. Campus is turning back to the color green.
And just in time for a little graduation bloom, Jessie. Straight ahead on OU Nightly.
I'm Cameron Joyner at the OU Nightly Update Desk. The head of Devon Energy will join the leaders of 5 other energy companies on Capitol Hill next week to testify before a House subcommittee. The leaders will be discussing the recent surge in gas prices across the country. This comes after a letter was sent by the House Energy and Commerce Committee earlier this month, expressing concerns that the industry was taking advantage of the war in Ukraine to raise prices. Jessie, Kolby, back to you guys in the studio.
Spring is finally making its way to Norman after a long and cold winter, and campus is beginning to look brighter than ever.
Yeah, the OU Landscaping Department has decorated the South Oval in beautiful dianthus flowers.
These flowers are known for their intense spring colors and lovely petals.
So anyone wanting to get some flowers in their senior pictures only need to wait a little while longer.
And Mikayla, can we expect some more rain to help these dianthus bloom?
Yes, we can expect some more rain. My 7-day is doing something pretty funky right now, so there's no pop on Friday, but there's a 60% chance of rain Friday evening, actually, so that'll be our next chance of seeing rain here in Norman. And then we'll dry up just a little bit this weekend before we start a pretty wet week next week. Chances of rain Sunday night, definitely storm chances Monday and Tuesday. We'll be keeping an eye on that, but going to be back into the 70s, but plenty of rain in the next week coming for those flowers. So enjoy your weekend, because it might be a wet week and you might want your umbrella and jacket pretty handy.
Thanks, Mikayla and Kolby. Personally, I am looking forward to some more rain and a good book.
I don't know about the book, but I'm looking forward to the rain too. Make sure you stay weather aware by following us on social media and tuning in every weekday at 4:30 to watch OU Nightly.
Have a good night.